There is exactly one room in this game. You do not leave it. You do not walk through it. For the entire duration of the night, you are locked inside a single cramped office, watching cameras, closing doors, listening for footsteps you can't see. This is Ultimate Custom Night, a game built entirely out of a single space, recycled from a decade of other games. Populated by 50 different animatronic threats, you get to choose yourself. It sounds like a joke mode, a greatest hits gauntlet for hardcore fans. But look at it as a place people inhabit, obsess over, rebuild, and share with each other. And it starts to say something much stranger about work, surveillance, and what it means to be watched. Let's start with what this place actually is. It's small. It has a desk, two doors, two vents, a camera monitor, and a fan. That's the entire physical footprint of the game. You sit at its center and the world comes to you, or in this case, the animatronics filter through screens and audio cues. But it's also not really one place. It's a composite. There are pieces of nearly every previous office in the franchise's history stitched together in a single room. Every threat you've ever faced across the whole series shows up here at once in the same four walls. That compression matters for how we think about place. This isn't a naturally occurring space with organic history. It's a built archive, a room made entirely out of memory and repetition. Here's the angle I want to take. This is a workplace before it's considered a haunted house. You are a night shift security guard. The entire mechanical loop of the game is a labor loop. Monitor cameras, manage a limited resource, which is power, respond to overlapping demands from multiple directions, which looks like this, by the way. There's no colleague to tag in, no shift supervisor, just you, the threats, and a power meter ticking towards zero. Strip away the animatronics, and you have something that looks a lot like the anxiety of an underspecified, overloaded, unsupervised job. The kind where you're in control of everything and actually in control of nothing. Because the moment your attention splits, something you were supposed to be watching gets past you. The horror isn't just the monsters in the dark, it's the structure of the labor itself. This kind of space, small, enclosed, organized entirely around watching and being watched, has a name in critical theory. The Panopticon is a design where visibility itself becomes a form of control, and the watcher and the watched are locked into the same structure, unable to fully trust what they see. I want to bring up a quick citation. Media scholar Tom Van Noonen has argued that games built around constant camera-based monitoring, he uses Dark Souls as his case study, function as a kind of post-panoptic space, almost like a hybrid of surveillance and exhibitionism, where the game's procedural systems decide who can see whom. There's no reciprocity here at all, no shared gaze between watcher and watched. It's a pure, more one-directional version of the panoptic structure Van Noonen describes. But there's a second layer of watching in this game's world, and it doesn't happen in the fiction, it happens in the fandom. For years, players have obsessively mapped the layout of these offices across games, cross-referencing camera angles, vents, and hallways to restructure a single true building the whole series supposedly takes place in. Fan wikis host blueprints, YouTube essayists narrate frame-by-frame comparisons, Reddit threads argue over like their forensic evidence. You can see the same impulse in how the fandom documents the game itself. The main Five Nights at Freddy's wiki entry on Ultimate Custom Night doesn't just summarize the game. It catalogs the office down to the fixture level. The two doors, the two vents, the monitor, even the returning Freddy Fazbear head prop from an earlier game, all mapped out alongside behavior notes for every one of the 50 plus characters a player might face. It's less a plot summary than an architectural survey. Fans treating a room that exists only in code as if it were a real site worth surveying block by block. And UCN adds to that third layer. Players don't just play the mode, they build it. Every player can set the difficulty of all 50 plus threats individually, then post their custom setup online for others to attempt. And that impulse to catalog doesn't just stop at the office layout. Like we just talked about, it extends to the challenges themselves. The community maintains something called the max mode list, an informal ranking of player invented custom night configurations by difficulty. One entry, a fan created mode called Hopeless Pursuit, was ranked as the single hardest challenge on the list. Harder by the community's own measure than anything the developers built into the game. Players didn't just inherit this room, they took over it and started building their own increasingly punishing versions of it to share with each other. So we've got three kinds of watching stacked on top of each other. The guard watching the cameras in the fiction, the fandom watching the remapping, the space itself, and the players watching each other complete increasingly punishing custom versions of the same room. This is where the course concept comes in. The office has the scale and shape of a domestic room, small enclosed walls and doors you can close, the architecture of safety. But none of the functions of domestic space apply. It isn't private, it isn't restful, it offers no real refuge because the doors cause power to hold shut and the walls are riddled with vents and cameras you don't fully control. It's a room built like a home and run like a workplace under total surveillance, a space where the feeling of enclosure is preserved, but the safety that is feeling is supposed to signal has been completely hollowed out. That inversion is the real horror engine of the game, not the monsters, the fact that the shape of safety and the fact of danger are occupying the exact same coordinates. Here's the parallel I want to leave you with. Inside the fiction, the guard survives one night by obsessively watching every screen, every angle, every possible threat, trying to hold an unstable, overloaded space together through sheer vigilance. Outside the fiction, the fandom has spent nearly a decade doing the exact same thing to the game itself. Watching, rewatching, mapping, cross-referencing, trying to pin down a stable truth about the space that was never built to hold still. Both are acts of surveillance as a coping mechanism. One happens in universe over a single night. The other happens in the real world over years across thousands of players who've never met each other, all doing this fictional office exactly what the office does to them. The room was never really about being watched by animatronics. It's about what it does to people and the story and out of it to be put in a space that looks like it should be safe and it isn't.